All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel. Max Barr is back at 100%, Max, right?
Not so much.
Not so much. Max is, playing through injuries today. But we got a couple of predictions. We're gonna knock out here today, and we're gonna send Max back to bed. It's really unfortunate, Max, that you had to miss the power rankings yesterday.
Uh,
But I'm sure you hated that.
I think they're
But
calling it the
yes,
super flu.
the super flu, huh?
I know. I called my mom. And I think you got the super flu. I'm like, okay, that sounds
Mm.
fantastic. Thanks for that.
Mm. Well, Sam doesn't care about your super flu because he says we're
No,
7 minutes late, which is absolutely false because this was scheduled for 9:05 and not 9 o'clock. So Sam spreading propaganda again in the chats. No surprise there. But we are going to do this. We're going to give you our predictions for tonight's games, Tuesday's games. Usually we only do this for members this season. It's a new thing here for our SEC predictions during conference play. We only do it live for members. We've never actually done these live before, unless it's like the tournament or something where our live shows become predictions each day. But listen, we're doing them live this year for our members. So this one is your freebie for the month, Max. For all the freebies out there, you get your free prediction stream now if you want to join in on the show we're going to do after this. As soon as this one's over, we're going to head over to our member stream, and we
yes.
are going to do our predictions for tomorrow night's games, which will feature Kentucky and Missouri, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt and Alabama. If you want to head over there, go ahead and hit that link right there in the chat. If you want to become a member, I'll throw that link in the chat as well. And Max, we're going to jump into all the fun and excitement of tonight's games, 4 on the slate.
First Tuesday of SEC play. And we have 4 favorites, all between 7.5 and 10.5 points. I'm sure nothing could go unexpected here, Blake.
Who was, let's see, Florida was a 7.5 point favorite at Missouri, something like that. Is that right?
Somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact.
Something like that. Who else was the underdogs that won? Anyone? Am I forgetting?
Yeah, there were multiple, I think. I think Arkansas closed as a 1.5 point underdog.
Mississippi State was like a 7.5 point underdog, I think, too. I think it was 7.5, maybe in the magic number on Saturday. So, all right, let's get to it here. We're going to try to expedite this for Max's sake. So, all right, we're going to start with the first game on the schedule, the one that most of you are probably here for, because I think this is probably the best game on the schedule, easily. Georgia heads to Florida, 6 p.m. Central Time tip on the SEC Network. Florida. This surprised me, Max, when I saw this. But I'm going to explain maybe in a minute why I don't think it should be that surprising. Florida's a 9.5 point favorite in this game.
Oof.
Unranked Florida against the number 18 team, Georgia. So if you guys want to know why I always, even yesterday, I gave you the diatribe about the AP poll. Here's why. You got a number 18 team who's almost a double-digit underdog on the road, which is not something we see unless it's Michigan these days. A little unexpected, huh?
It's a little unexpected if you go by the AP poll, Blake, but all the analytics kind of have this as right around the number. But one reason why it could be a little bit surprising, even given the analytics say this is the number, is because Florida, Blake, dead last in the SEC against the spread when playing at home. They've played 6 home games, and they've only covered once at home, 1-5 for an ATS rate of 16.7% at home so far through over 2 months of the season. That's terrible. That is terrible. That's the epitome of not taking care of business at home. So if you look at just the AP, unranked versus, ranked, what is this spread? Then you look at the analytics. Okay, it makes sense. Then you look at how Florida's been at home. Okay, now I'm a little bit worried again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild, isn't it? By the way, I didn't realize this. I thought you were going to head in a different direction with the stat you threw out, and this was one that I always like to check in on this time of year. One of our favorite stats that we always throw out, I feel like, for some of these teams. Missouri was the darling or not so darling of the stat 2 years ago when we checked in on this. And so here it is for Florida now. Florida, according to KenPom, the fourth unluckiest team in college basketball.
Oh,
this
the
season.
luck.
362 out of 365. That is a stat right there. By the way, South Carolina not too far away from them in that category. Always love that one for whatever reason. I find it fascinating when it comes to where you are this time of year. But I mean, if you really think about it, and this is why I think, again, I said I wouldn't be that stunned if we are looking at the spread and seeing why it's so high. It's because we are talking about a team who is legitimately like 3 bounces away of the ball from, being a top 15 team probably, and sitting here maybe as an even bigger favorite in this game. And I think that's what we said. The margin for error this year for Florida is not what it was last year because they've not had, Walter Clayton to get them out of this. But I think that's where this matchup starts, because when we talk about, guard play this year and the people who have impressed us the most, there is no question when you look on the other side and you see Jeremiah Wilkinson and Blue Kane, and you see what those guys have done this season, Georgia's had the much better guard play right now. Now, the shooting has still been better than Florida. I wouldn't call Georgia a great shooting team. But, I mean, we're talking about, again, 2, at worst, like first and second team all SEC contenders right now in Jeremiah Wilkinson and Blue Kane. And I think that's where, this matchup for me, Max, when it comes to knowing how Georgia likes to play this year, how fast they're playing, they're going to make this a game that's going to have high possessions. I'm looking right now. What is it, like 82, 84, 81, 87, 83, 84, 80? Like, I'm looking at all these, and I'm very intrigued by this guard/perimeter matchup for these two teams.
Blake, it was funny you brought up that luck rating, because I'm now I could be a little bit off on this, but I'm almost positive that KenPom's luck rating is calculated by, it's kind of like your shot percentages in the final 5 minutes of the game or something like that. It's kind of like how how your 3-point variance is when the game is on the line and stuff like that. And honestly, I watched Eric Fawcett with the Florida Basketball Hour. I watched his breakdown on this game, and he had a really interesting point, and that was, if Georgia does make this a close game, if it's down to a few minutes left, and it's a tight ball game, it's not a 9.5-point game, it's a tight, 1 or 2 possession game, whose guards do you trust to just kind of be able to shake and bake and go in a straight line drive and get to the rim? Right now, I trust Georgia's more. Eric Fawcett said he trusts Georgia's more. That's kind of been the reason why Florida's lost some of these games, is because they have not been able to execute offensively in the final few possessions. You can go to that Duke game right away. And so it's a little bit of luck, but I also think it's a little bit of, Florida has had a really tough time manufacturing critical offense in the last few possessions of the game because of their guard play. So I do think that's an interesting angle to this game, is if it is close, maybe slight advantage Georgia guard play there. I thought that was an interesting angle I hadn't really thought of. But on the flip side here, supporting the Gators, when you look at who they've played, right? Non-conference strength of schedule of 43rd nationally. Georgia's no secret, not the best, 334th. This is actually, Blake, only the second true road game of the entire season for Georgia. It's January 6th. They've played one true road game. It's January 6th. So if that could be another little factor playing into the total. And if you want to even call that true road game before, it was at Florida State, who's outside KenPom's top 100 right now, who's absolutely terrible. So you could kind of argue this is actually Georgia's first real true road test of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. By the way, Chris says, I trust Georgia's guards. I just threw up in my mouth saying that, but it's the truth. So noted Florida fan, Chris. Yeah,
Love it, Chris.
not ashamed to admit it. But yeah, and I think that's the thing too, right? It's like I love this matchup because it does feel like we're looking at two teams where, again, just some of the contrast, even though you can look at kind of the point distribution and all that, they're very similar. But I just think it's knowing how Florida wants to beat you, but also knowing how Georgia wants to beat you, and seeing which team can kind of dictate that in this matchup. I think is going to be kind of everything here. So I mean, we can keep reading off the obvious stuff with Florida's offensive rebounding ability, and them limiting Georgia's offensive rebounding ability. I think will be a big story in this game. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you're ready to make picks, I think I can kind of twist the logic into my pick a little better when it comes to my thoughts on this particular matchup.
I'm gonna go Florida here to win. I mean, Georgia is plus 340 on the money line. That's taken quite the leap there. But man, like we said, this is a Georgia team that has just been absolutely flying. Second in adjusted tempo, second in average possession length. If they get up and down and they're keeping this thing close, just keeping it close, I really like their chances in a close second half there with the way Wilkinson and Blue Kane have been in crunch time. But I'll go Florida here, but I would not be laying 9.5. My goodness.
No, I mean, like you said, the money line at FanDuel right now is Georgia plus 400, so it's moved up a little bit.
Oh, jeez.
And if you're talking like pure value, like I am all about the value, Max. We've said this many times. So like if I'm going to take a shot on one of these games tonight, this is probably the one where I'm like, okay, sure. Like plus 400, absolutely. I'll take a shot on that for the number 18 team in the country who's almost a double-digit underdog. But like this is the ultimate spot game. Like we always say, there are these throughout the season. It's like the ultimate spot game. If Florida had beaten Missouri, like, I think it's kind of one where you're like, okay, yeah, and we can still make the argument for Georgia. But, like, I think this is, like, almost not desperation mode for Florida, but it's kind of like, hey, I guarantee you our friends in Vegas have plenty of data throughout the years to tell us that a team like this, the defending national champion, who had high expectations, was considered the favorite in the league, finds themselves 0-1, coming back home against a ranked opponent, and this is kind of where they start to flex a little bit and maybe, prove that, okay, we just gave one away. We're going to show you we're still good enough to win one back, and that leads into a big game on Saturday against Tennessee, blah, blah, blah. I think that's probably the story here. To me, it's definitely why the spread is as high as it is. The other day, I said I was never going to pick against Georgia. Again, I said I was done picking against Georgia. And then I forgot they played Florida. But not only that, I forgot they were going to play Florida coming off a loss at Missouri. So it's the internet, Max. Lies are told every second. I'm not a liar, Max Barr, but just call it a forgetful memory. I'm going to pick Florida in this one, in this game. So I will never pick against Georgia again after this game. There's my new rule. How about that?
Okay. There you go. You were just one game early.
Just one game early. Shout out to Chris, who became a YouTube member. I did forget to mention this earlier. I know some people are going to jump in. To be in the Predictions Live, you have to be an MVP or a legend. So you can join at the supporter tier. That's $3.99 a month. $3.99, that is, a month. That is just kind of the, hey, we support the channel tier. But if you want the bonus content, you have to be either an MVP or a legend. Of course, MVP is basically your bonus tier. It's only $2 extra a month, $5.99. That was a new tier we introduced at the start of December. And if you want to be a legend, you get your own show. We're talking to Big Gator EJ on Thursday. Hopefully, he'll be excited about where his Florida Gators are. We got a fascinating show coming up with Big Gator EJ. He's got an incredible idea. By the way, we're gonna get into that. I think we got One Feisty Tiger coming up, his show on Thursday. Sam, we're trying to get you connected with Chris so you can do your baseball show. So yes, we got a lot of legend shows in the works. So, all right. On to the next games. You guys give your score predictions. We usually do this in the comments, but score predictions. Florida and Georgia tonight. Let us know in the chat. All right, on to the next one. South Carolina at LSU, 6 p.m. Central, ESPNU. Over at FanDuel, LSU currently a 7.5-point favorite. Injury report, Max, for this one.
Yes. Yeah. Big time impact on this game, Blake. No Jalen Reed, clearly, for LSU. And then add on top of that, no Deaton Thomas. So, arguably, LSU's two best players, maybe two of the best three players. Mike Nwoko's been having a heck of a year. But that's, geez, big time. There's a reason why that spread is down at 7.5 when KenPom has it at 10. Other places, other analytics sites have it at 11. So you're getting that spread bumped down with those guys out. And then for South Carolina, big man Esandoku had been getting more minutes, kind of in and out of the lineup, and he's been dealing with an injury. I think he's labeled as a questionable tag for this one. Been kind of a rotating door there at the 5 for South Carolina. Thought it was going to be Norton Capich in the beginning of the year, then thought it was going to be Sandoko, and now Elijah Strong, 6'8", 250 junior from BC, seems to be taking the reins at the 5. So both teams dealing with a little bit of moving parts there and injuries, Blake.
Yeah, that's why, I think for LSU, we said on Saturday coming out of that A&M game, it's hard to feel bad about them losing by 3 on the road at A&M without Thomas. You'd feel a bit worse if they lost at home to South Carolina without him. Because I think South Carolina, as we mentioned, they are the ultimate one player away team this year. It feels like where we went through all 5 of their losses. 7, 2, 3 in overtime, 7, and then 12 at home to Vanderbilt, which there's no shame in that. They're missing that next element offensively. And the thing is, surprisingly, if I'd have told you right now that South Carolina was top 10 in the country in 2-point percentage and free throw percentage and top 25 in the country in turnover percentage, they don't really turn the ball over, you'd have been like, hey, all right. They're in good shape, but they can't shoot the 3. They're not a great rebounding team. And again, that's probably not a huge surprise. So they have a weird profile. And I think, again, it's they're another one where, who knows, man? You hit a 3 against Northwestern, win that one. The overtime game against Virginia Tech felt like they had that shot at the end of regulation, just bad offensive possession. These are the kind of things that are going to, decide whether you can be a bubble team or not. And right now, they're nowhere close. But a win like this would get them there. I just think I want to see offensively what they can do in this game because, with LSU, they're just such a better offensive team this year. And I know that Thomas is a big part of that, but we mentioned Nwoko, McKinnon, Sutton, all those guys have stepped up at different times, and that's probably going to be the story of this game if LSU wins here.
Yeah, when you look at how LSU performed at A&M without Thomas and Reed, and you go back and you're like, wow, only a 3-point loss, and they turned the ball over 16 times. Not terrible. You got a nice 36 minutes out of Jalen Reese, 7 assists, 3 turnovers. Hey, that's not a bad stat line stepping in for Thomas. So you are a little bit encouraged by that. You guys know I love Pablo Tamba. I think he's one of the most underrated kind of glue guys in the league. He's going to play close 35 to 40 minutes in this one. But Blake, when you're looking at this South Carolina team, second true road game of the year, another team that has not played too many true road games. That one true road game before was a tight one against Clemson. Now that game's always tight, South Carolina, Clemson, but still they did not get blown out. That Vandy lost by 12 is their largest deficit on the season. So they've been right there in all these games. And now if they are right there, come down last few minutes, it's a game. This is an LSU offense that doesn't have 2 of their best offensive players that turned the ball over quite a lot against A&M. And so it's still a poor South Carolina defense. But the point I'm trying to make here, Blake, is that this is a South Carolina team that has not really been blown out yet. I know that Vandy game was lopsided, but still not really blown out yet. And this is an LSU offense who is down their 2 best offensive players.
All right. So picks, are you gonna do it? Picking the Gamecocks?
I really want to. I really, 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 really want to.
if you want to go Georgia, South Carolina, parlay, money line, all in on these two teams, Max, throw out a 20 spot, all right? You win you $370. Come on. That's enough cough syrup to get you through the rest of the week with a
That
super
is true.
flu.
That is true. I think a team goes down today. I think an underdog wins. I do. I'll go. You know what? I'll take a stab. LSU down two of their best players. I'll take a stab on South Carolina here.
Oh, look at that. Well, see, now you're going to be accused of the cough syrup being the reason you're making these
I think it's
picks
the
now.
Tylenol.
Tylenol's kicked in. But you're not wrong, and I think that's what I keep saying. Like I'm still hanging on with South Carolina, and I may be on an island here, but I think that they're going to wind up winning one of these kind of close games eventually. And this feels like the one. LSU kind of missing some key players. Yeah, you could see it, but
if they're ever going to do it,
this is probably the one. Yeah, and I think that's where, like, if I'm picking bets tonight, plus 7.5 for South Carolina over at FanDuel, I'd probably be okay with that one. But I'll be boring and pick LSU to win because they just went to Texas A&M and only lost by 3. So I'm gonna pick LSU to win this one. All right,
two tricky ones
Zach's
to start.
going on the upset. Zach's going 71-66. Give us your score predictions for LSU, South Carolina. And before we get to the final two games, let's tell you about our friends over at And Collar. As soon as Max gets well, we'll get the.
I will. Yeah, I gotta get on it.
We'll get more than the flashing design over here there. But we keep telling you about our friends over at And Collar. Great menswear. And Max, what do you know? They have got me an ad read. You guys didn't even realize you were getting this for free. But I've got an ad read here. All right? Max, did you know that traditional dress shirts have not changed in decades? Decades! There's been no changes to these traditional dress shirts.
It's a long time.
However, everything has evolved since then. Dress shirts decided, we don't want to evolve. Until And Collar came walking through the door. The SEC, Max, I don't know if you knew this, played in a sauna. Because if this shirt can survive September in Baton Rouge and Gainesville, it can survive anything. This read was made for this prediction show right here.
Yeah.
Most dress shirts built for the bed. Not almost said most dress shirts built for the bedroom. It's the boardroom, folks. Not the bedroom. That's not the read they wanted. Not the South. This is the SEC. We don't do that wrinkled stuff around here, folks. Works in the SEC humidity. It works anywhere. All you got to do is head over to And Collar. SEC16. SEC16, 16% off. Over at And Collar. Come on. Are you kidding me? Hey, head over there. Get some good stuff. The chat's getting a little feisty after, the slip of the tongue there. But that just means you want more And Collar. So,
yes.
If you want to get some, head on over to And Collar. Get some nice menswear right now. SEC16 for 16% off over there. All right. Also, Yearly Company. I knew you'd go there, Sam. Damn it. I knew if there was anybody who'd make a connection somehow, it'd be Sam. Yearly Company, if you want to buy some jewelry, sizing kit still 100% off over there. SE16 kit. 100% off the sizing kit. Every Yearly Company bangle. Custom size, as you know. And, head over there. They got some great stuff. And you got a lifetime guarantee. Who wouldn't want that? Backed by a lifetime guarantee. You kidding me?
There you go.
Over there at the Yearly Company. Nashville-based fine jewelry. They got lots of great stuff. Go check it out. Just put it into your browser there. Boom. SE16 kit, 100% off the sizing kit. Check out. And ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets. Rock lock, secure mounting. No rock locks on this slate, in my opinion. But you can head over there and get 25% off. Yeah. SEC25, 25% off over at ROKFORM. All right, let's continue on here. Texas at Tennessee, 8 p.m. Central Time, which means 9 p.m. Eastern for all you Sam Smiths out there. I'm sure excited about this. A 9 p.m. Eastern start on ESPN2. For the Vols at the Food City Center, Tennessee is currently a wait for it, 10.5 point favorite
Yep.
over FanDuel, over under 154.5. Yeah, 10.5 point favorite for the Vols here, and Sam is trying to trademark this BABB, which you can find in the chat what that stands for in Sam's world when it comes to adding in a few superlatives for Rick Barnes' style of basketball. But thoughts on this one, Max?
Yeah, I think this line is right on. Texas has been the opposite of impressive lately. They have not, let's see, they're also on their second true road game of the year. A lot of teams here not playing too many true road games. You don't hear about that. I'm talking about some teams that have been very criticized this non-conference, but some teams are playing a lot of true road games. Okay, Tennessee here. I mean, I don't have a ton to back Texas here, to be honest. The one thing that I think
picks. Like,
the
what
one
do you
thing
got?
I think they could do is they could play some tough interior defense if Voki Titus is able to stay on the floor, if Dalen Swain is able to stay on the floor. Their two best categories defensively is their defensive rebounding and their 2-point percentage defense. That could cause some slight issues for the Tennessee offense if they're not able to hit that, north of 40% offensive rebounding mark, because Texas does rebound the ball well. And if the threes aren't falling, I could see a scenario where Texas is getting to the free throw line, just chopping this game up. The offense for Tennessee is one of those choppy offensive games, and Texas just completely mucks this thing up. It goes under the total, and they're in the game. I could see that. I don't know if there's a path outside of that, though, Blake.
Well, I think Texas' best defense could be Tennessee's offense, and I think that may be the story. If Texas wins this game, it's going to be because Tennessee hit a wall offensively, and I think it's that simple. The Vols have been different, though, at home than they have been away from home this year in terms of their offensive efficiency, which is not surprising. They played more inferior opponents at home. The only real big game they've had is Louisville, of course. They won that one 83-62. But I would make the argument that Louisville is better than Texas. So, that's a little bit different maybe in that regard. But, yeah, I think that's what it comes down to is, I feel like this is kind of the same scenario. It's different than Florida, but, it is the ultimate Tennessee bounce-back type spot. And I feel like that's what you're banking on here, whereas I don't know what you expect from Texas coming off of a very disappointing home loss. I mean, probably your most disappointing loss of the season, I'd say. To lose the game the way they did to Mississippi State, now you got to turn around. You're not even playing the Wednesday game, you're playing the Tuesday game at Tennessee, a team that will throw you into the blender defensively and really make it difficult on you. I just think it is, again, it's a tough spot for Texas, and we mentioned how tough their schedule is to start things off. But, yeah, I mean, if Swain gets going, if you get, a Jamon Mark type game, Jordan Pope hits some threes, there are ways that Texas can win this one. But there's also a reason they're a 10.5-point underdog. And, I'm going to pick Tennessee too, but I just think it's, I don't know, Texas is just the ultimate, mystery team right now. Because if they'd have beat Mississippi State on Saturday, then I probably would have come into this game being okay, Texas got some momentum, Tennessee, we'll see. But I just think Rick Barnes will have his team ready to go after the Arkansas loss, and that's kind of been the story this year. Yeah, they had the 3-game losing streak and all that, but I feel like this is one of those games where Texas and Arkansas are just different teams, and I think Tennessee defensively will be able to do a lot of things that disrupts this Texas team.
And one of the main storylines always when Tennessee is playing at home is the opponent 3-point shooting numbers. You can just almost guarantee they drop off of what their season average is, and that's not good for Texas because they have not been shooting well. And honestly, when you pick apart the Texas shooting a little bit deeper, it's even worse than you think. Because when you look at their tougher games, they've kind of got a weird non-conference schedule where they either play a top 100 team or a sub 300 team. They kind of no one in the middle for Texas. It was either a tough game or a super easy game. The Duke game to start the year, 5 of 17. Arizona State, 6 of 19. Virginia, 4 of 19. UConn, 4 of 13. Mississippi State, 7 of 25. The only game that they shot well in against a tough opponent is NC State, where they shot 16 of 32. A complete fluke. A come out of the blue, complete fluke. It's probably the most threes they'll make all year. Kendall Weaver and Wilcher combined for 6 of 10 from three. That'll never happen again. Pope had 7, his own. A complete fluke of a shooting performance. So you kind of you add in Texas poor 3-point shooting on the road. I'm gonna go Tennessee here, and besides Tennessee just completely losing the game offensively, I don't really see a way Texas gets this done on the road.
Yeah, I'm picking Tennessee. Texas gets such a big percentage of their points come from the free throw line, and I just think, again, this is like in Knoxville. Just good luck, because I think Tennessee, as always, you said, defensively, they make it hard on you pretty much everywhere when it comes to their defensive performance in Knoxville. So, all right, there you go. Sam's got Texas 82, Tennessee 71. So, no surprise there. He's all in on the money line. If you want to get that money line, you can get plus 470 over at FanDuel right now.
Oh, so, nice.
Sam also said he sold his tickets because the game's too late. That'd be me, probably. I'd probably be the same.
I'd probably do it.
Anyways, Jordan's going to go 80-65. That sounds about right in terms of a score, something like that. So Sean's got the upset, 76-9.
Sean's got the upset.
So
that could happen.
That shows you. Tennessee, I think, still leaves a bit to be desired. Sam says Tennessee's defense is highly overrated. I disagree. They're not what they have been, but they're not overrated. They're kind of where, I mean, we're not, and we've said that. We're not ranking Tennessee as the defensive team they've been in recent years, but they're still an elite defensive team. They're just not one of the best defensive teams.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Last game. Texas A&M and Auburn. This may be the most entertaining game of the night. 8 p.m. Central on the SEC Network at Neville Arena. What do you know? We shouldn't have brought up the 7.5 point upsets on Saturday, because there's a lot of 7.5 points here. This is another one. Auburn 7.5 point favorite against Texas A&M. Over under 167.5. Sign me up for points on this one. So we'll get to Jeff's super chat here in just a minute. Remember, if you are joining in late too, scroll up, find that link. We're doing our SEC predictions live for members, MVPs, and Legends only. Got to sign up to either the MVP or Legends tier right after this for Wednesday's game, Wednesday's games, which is one of the best slates.
Oh, great slate
of the year, perhaps, when we look at some of the matchups. So, all right, let's get to this one real quick. Auburn A&M, yeah, I think it's all about points here, Max. I mean, it's first to 100 wins this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Quick injury report. Obviously, no Mackenzie Mbako for A&M. For Auburn, no Bashir or Operum. And then we got Marcus Hill, probable, but he's played through this injury the past few games now. Luke Evangelist, A&M beat, said 75% for Marcus Hill. So he's been playing real well. He's honestly impressed from what I thought the A&M backcourt was going to be in the offseason. He looks a lot better than Pop Isaacs, in my opinion. So not too banged up, but it is a little bit of something to note. Had another one of those against the spread trends here in this game. Auburn is an SEC leader, SEC best here against the spread at home. They've played 6 home games on the year, 5-1 against the spread for an 83.3% cover rate at home so far this season. That leads the league.
Texas A&M has such like a mixed bag of results that it's kind of hard to get a good read on them. I think they're definitely one of those teams that we still don't feel like we have a great sense of where they are. And we mentioned it. Some of that's early season. You know, they lose the games against Oklahoma State, UCF, which UCF, not a bad team. Spoiler alert, they're just not. Because, again, we've seen what they've now done this season. SMU, they take SMU. You know, it's an overtime game. Feel like you should have won that game, of course, with the way it played out. Lose by 13 in overtime. It's just one of those just bizarre type things. But like they're good enough to be in those positions. And then, like we said, you kind of have the games where you're putting up 100 something plus on, not so great teams, and then you turn around and okay, you still win 75-72. So you find a way to win against LSU. And I think that's, kind of something too, where now you go on the road and, because we've only seen them now for the third time in a road setting. At Oklahoma State, they lost by 24. They won at Pitt, which, Pitt's not a good team. So, like, we just don't have a lot to go on here for A&M. So, I think, look, if Auburn's going to reach the level that I think Auburn fans want them to reach, it's very simple. Like, their defense is atrocious. And they're hard to watch defensively. And I don't mean that from a standpoint of, like, they don't have the skill. But, like, it's some of the little things. I feel like when I watch Auburn, like, there'll be people who just kind of get lost on possessions, or you don't have the communication and you give up this or you give up that. And I think at a certain point, and maybe this is my fault, I feel like I have sort of tried to talk it up a little more by saying, well, they're just playing good offensive teams. That's basketball. Like, you're going to play a lot of good offensive teams the rest of the way. Texas A&M, pretty good offensive team. So, like, at a certain point, right, like, that can't be the excuse, is that, okay, well, we'll play better defense when we're not playing great offensive teams. I mean, I'm looking at their upcoming schedule. Again, A&M, pretty good offensive team. I think when you watch them get into their rhythm, right? Arkansas, good offensive team. And you kind of keep going down the line. Alabama, Vanderbilt, Arkansas again, like, they're going to play a lot of good offensive teams. So they've got to fix some of these defensive issues. And, that's going to be that margin for error that, obviously is much different than it was from last season.
Yeah, did you see the quote from Stephen Pearl on how many defensive mistakes they made against Georgia?
No.
Here's a direct quote from Stephen Pearl. We made 127 defensive mistakes if you're just going to nitpick it and look through everything. Everyone cuts 3 or 4 of their mistakes out defensively throughout that game, and we win by double digits. 127 defensive mistakes. Now, I mean, that's the coaching staff probably taking every single piece of every play and for every player, but still.
But if you think about it, right, it's like you got 5 players on a possession. If all 5 players make a defensive mistake throughout, however many times in a 40-minute game, like those add up. So, yeah, I mean, those are crucial. I mean, I don't know how many possessions that accounts to, right? But you can probably find something on every possession. But, yeah, like that's a crucial part of the game.
So just based on looking off the last game's result, you have an Auburn team on the road at a red-hot Georgia team who they probably should have lost in regulation. I mean, let's be honest, that was an incredible play by Overton on the free throw rebound there. Probably should have lost by a basket in regulation, end up losing by 2 baskets in overtime. Not much of a difference there, but still, you have Georgia make you have Auburn make 127 defensive mistakes at Georgia and come a possession or 2 away for winning. You have Texas A&M playing at home against an LSU team playing without their 2 best offensive players, and they scrape out a 3-point win. Which team do you feel a little bit better about moving forward? For me, it's Auburn by a landslide here.
Yeah. So let's
I'm picking Auburn to win the game here. Yeah, I'm picking Auburn to win. I'm picking Auburn to win the game.
I'm picking Auburn too.
Great spot.
I think, yeah, it's again kind of a spot type game, and I said it in our power rankings yesterday. This is a team that I think I'm probably still higher on than some people are, because when you look at the overall body of work, I realize they've been blown out in a couple of those games, but we're talking against teams that feel like they're, and we don't say this often, like feel like they're Final Four locks. Like we feel like, Michigan, Arizona feel like they're locks to make the Final Four. Like Purdue, and I know it's silly to say that at this time, but like Purdue doesn't feel that far off either when we're talking about it. So I know how to win those games, but if you do look at kind of the full picture, just outside of running into kind of a buzzsaw with those 3 teams, there's still a lot to like. And I think it's, offensively, I think still they're going to be good enough to win quite a few games in the SEC. I'm not saying they're going to win 14, but they still should be good enough offensively. And yes, they'll probably play in some higher scoring games because I don't think they're going to fix all their defensive issues this year. I think some of it's just simply the fact that they have guys who don't play great defense. And I don't think they fix that this season. But they'll get better in certain areas. And I think this is kind of the opportunity to do that. But don't discount the idea. Bucky coming back to the state of Alabama to try to go in and beat the Tigers here. I'm going to pick Auburn in this one, though. So, yeah, I think they get it done. Should be a high-scoring game for sure. So, all right. Look at that. Right on target. We said we want to try to get these done in about 40 minutes. Boom. 40 minutes in. Last pick is made.
There you go.
Sean's got 102.90. Auburn is the lock.
Did you see Zach's prediction?
No, I didn't. Where was it?
You got 100,
Oh, yeah.
150 to 149. Auburn.
150, 149. Sign me up for that one, Zach. I hope you're right on that one. We're going live after that game. I don't care how sick Max is. If it's 150, 149. Oh, he's changing his pick.
He's changing his prediction.
Okay. All right. All right. One Feisty Tigers got Auburn. 2 on that one. So, all right. There are picks for tonight's slate. Again, I'm going to drop the link in here. We're going to hop off in a couple minutes and go to our MVP and Legends live stream. We're going to do our SEC predictions live for tomorrow night's games. We're going to do that right after this, but remember, that is only for our MVPs or Legends members. Sign up to that. If you're a supporter, if you're on the supporter tier, just go ahead and up it up to MVP. $2 more, all it takes. You get to join in our predictions live with all the other guys in there. And so, yeah, we're going to go do those. If you don't want to jump in live, we will still put these up like we do in separate videos. You'll get Kentucky, Missouri, Alabama, Vanderbilt, and so forth in separate videos here on the channel. Probably this afternoon, tomorrow morning, something like that. So if you want to have your first access, make your picks live with us, you can do that by becoming an MVP or a legend here at Southeastern 16. Link in the chat below to that stream, and I will drop the link to the membership one more time as well. Max, you want to hear about some bracketology?
Ooh.
Now,
what do we got?
Let's do a quick bracketology update this morning. And I don't know if you're going to like this, because this kind of threw me for a loop.
Does it have my 11 teams? 11 from the SEC?
So what happened is they introduced a new design on the bracketology page at ESPN. And you got to see this thing. It's just different, right? And anytime you get like a visual difference, it's gonna stand out. But I don't know how I feel about this just yet. All right, here we go. So first of all, it's got the dark background. I'm not. I know everyone likes like the dark mode. I'm not good at that for some reason. Maybe it's my eyes. Like I just can't see it as well.
Interesting.
All right. Top seed Michigan. Last team in is Oklahoma. They're hanging on. Are the Sooners? First team out, Boise State. So all right. Let's go on down. Are you ready for this? Look at this.
What the heck is this?
I don't know, man. This one this is a little
terrible.
bit different. I'm not a huge fan of this, but hey, it's day one. I want to give it a shot. There's too many colors here. I don't know what I'm looking at.
What is going on here?
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I'm looking. All right, so hold on. Midwest. All right, we got Tennessee as a 5. Oh, this is just. There's too much happening. We got Vanderbilt as the 2 against Colgate. There's all right. See, now I got to scroll back up.
What's the difference between green and red?
I don't know. So, here's what it is. So actually, they have little profiles. So it shows like, look at this. You see all this? I kind of like this, but this is their seed history. So it shows where they were projected and where it's going, right? I don't know. Like it's just. The green and red, there's a lot going on with that.
Okay.
So, I don't know. All right, so Arkansas is a 4. Playing Louisville maybe in the second round in San Diego. Again, Arkansas would love San Diego. They've had success there. Georgia's a 7. In Portland playing Miami. Get the Zags.
Great, get the Zags in Portland. That's very fair.
That's not ideal. Okay, a lot of red here. Kentucky is the 9. In Houston playing Utah State. Iowa State the 1. Hold on. What am I looking at? There's a lot of red here. Where am I? I don't even know. Florida is the 6 playing Yale as the 11.
Classic. Had to get the SEC against Yale.
Oh, this would be my favorite little part of the bracket here. Florida, Yale, BYU, UC Irvine. You kidding me? Okay, man, this is just... LSU is a 10 playing St. Mary's. Duke is the 2. All right, then over here... Man, Auburn is an 8, playing UCLA as a 9. 2 Blue Bloods battling it out for the right to play UConn. And then you've got Alabama's the 3, playing Long Island, the 14. Long Island, haven't we seen them? We've seen them a couple times this year.
The Sharks.
They're not bad. I don't know. Long Island's
Villanova up to a 6. Wow, that's impressive.
How about that? Yeah. All right, and then that's it. I'm sorry. I can't look at this right now.
So how many do we got? Is there a...
There's 10.
There's 10.
There's 10.
It's only one off of 11.
Yeah. I would say Missouri's probably the next team in line, right?
I will say, with the LSU injuries, I'm becoming less and less comfortable penciling LSU into the tournament. They got to survive this little stint without Dean Thomas here. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. It seems like the chat's not too thrilled with the new bracketology updates at this moment. So, Mr. Stone said, "You know what? I don't even need to go to the members to know you're going to pick the Hogs against Ole Miss. Hogs by quintillion. Quintillion.
All right.
I love it. All right. We're out of here. We're heading over to the members to stream. Hop on in. The link's right there in the chat. And yes, join us there. Become an MVP or legend to get in. We're got to make our predictions for the game of the year so far in the SEC. Alabama, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma, Mississippi State. A good slate on Wednesday. Tonight's slate's fine. Tomorrow night's slate is something. So, all right. We appreciate you guys. Support our friends over at FanDuel. Support all of our fine sponsors and Collar, the yearly company, ROKFORM. And we appreciate you watching as always. Hop on in, the members, and we're going to go live over there with predictions for January 7th, tomorrow night's games. Thanks always for watching. Talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.